Welcome to another video for IB Environmental Systems and Societies. Today's topic is 4.1, Intro to Water Systems. We'll review freshwater and ocean systems. Let's get to it. The first big idea for topic 4.1 is that the hydrological cycle, the water cycle, is a system of flows and storages that can be disrupted by human activities. They're a system. You've got to be able to identify transfers and transformations and storages within the hydrological cycle, because this is an environmental systems and societies course. On an ESS exam, you may be asked to construct and analyze a hydrological cycle diagram. The hydrological cycle describes the continuous movement of water on, above, and below the surface of the earth. It includes processes such as evaporation, transpiration, condensation, precipitation, and horizontal movement through streams, rivers, lakes, aquifers, oceans, and groundwaters. Solar radiation drives the hydrological cycle. The sun provides the energy that powers evaporation and transpiration, lifting moisture, water vapor, into the atmosphere. This atmospheric water vapor condenses into clouds and precipitates back down to Earth, either as snow, rain, ice, or hail, thus completing the cycle. For an ESS exam, you may be asked about Earth's water budget. You should know that fresh water makes up only a very small fraction, about 2.5% of Earth's total water volume. Most of that 2.5% is stored in glaciers, ice caps, groundwater, soils, lakes, and rivers. Most of Earth's water is in the oceans. About 96 or 97% of the water on our planet is saltwater, which means it's saline and cannot be used for most of the purposes for which people need it. That's bathing, cooking, drinking, and agriculture. Remember that the water cycle, or the hydrological cycle, is a system, and so it involves flows, transfers, it involves transformations, and it involves storages. Storages in the hydrological cycle include organisms, soil, oceans, groundwater, lakes, rivers, the atmosphere, glaciers, and ice caps. Water moves or transfers between these reservoirs through processes or transformations such as evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. Flows or transfers and transformations in the water cycle include evapotranspiration, sublimation, evaporation, condensation, advection, precipitation, melting, freezing, flooding, surface runoff, infiltration, percolation through the soils, and stream flow or ocean currents. These flows move water through the cycle's storages. Some of them are transfers, and some of them are transformations. For example, the horizontal movement of water through groundwater aquifers is a transfer because the water remains in liquid form. However, the evaporation of water from oceans, lakes, rivers, or streams into the atmosphere is a transformation because water changes from liquid water to a water vapor or water gas. Likewise, the condensation of water vapor from gas form into liquid form, or raindrops in clouds, is another transformation. Make sure for ESS that you understand the difference between the transfer or movement of water and the transformations or changes of state of water at each stage of the water cycle. On your ESS exam, you may be asked to discuss human impacts on the hydrological cycle. Human activities such as agriculture, urbanization, and deforestation greatly impact parts of the water cycle, especially surface runoff and infiltration. You'll see how human activities change the storages and change the rate of transfers and transformations of water within the cycle. Agriculture, deforestation, and urbanization significantly affect surface runoff and infiltration rates. More land cleared means faster runoff, less infiltration, and therefore a negative impact on water supplies for people. Deforestation means that there's no canopy cover for trees to intercept the precipitation. And what that means is that the falling water impacts the soil at a higher velocity, dislodges more of the soil, and contributes to significantly more erosion. That higher impact of water also reduces the infiltration rate, and therefore what you get is a greater degree of runoff and a lower degree of infiltration into the soil matrix. This leads to soil loss through landslides and erosion, and it means that the storage of water in groundwater is also reduced. Similarly, because the trees have been removed, those trees, which are organisms, are a major source of a storage or a reservoir of water in the water cycle. And because those trees have been removed, that storage has also been removed. So there's an example of how human activities disrupt the storages and the transfer of water in the water cycles. Let's take a look at how agriculture and urbanization impact the water cycle. Agriculture can have both positive and negative impacts on the water cycle. Practices such as plowing will reduce plant cover over the soil, which may increase evaporation directly from the soil and contribute to salinization of the soil. Removal of plant cover from the soil will also increase surface runoff, the horizontal movement across soils, and therefore increase erosion of soils. Plowing may actually break up the soil structure and make it easier for water to penetrate and infiltrate into the soil matrix. So plowing can increase the infiltration of water into the soils, which might increase the storage of water in soil systems. Planting cover crops may decrease the horizontal movement or transfer of water because the cover crop roots may intercept and absorb more of the water that's falling on the farmland. That can also increase the storage of water in agricultural lands. Planting cover crops might also slow the horizontal movement of water, which makes it easier for that water to infiltrate vertically downwards into the soil matrix, therefore increase the storage of water in the soil system. Urbanization generally has a negative impact on the water cycle because when we build cities, we tend to build them with impermeable surfaces such as concrete and asphalt. They limit the amount of water that is able to infiltrate into soils because we have an impermeable cap over the top of the soils. That impermeable cap means that most of the water that falls onto the surface of urban areas moves very rapidly across the surface, so the horizontal movement called runoff increases tremendously during urbanization while infiltration decreases significantly. Ocean circulation affects climate. Differences in temperature and salinity of ocean water distributes heat around the world, generally moves warm water from the equatorial zones to cooler polar zones, and then cycles cold, dense, nutrient-rich water from the polar zones back to the equator, where it rises to the surface to be warmed again and then distribute the heat northwards and southwards away from the equator towards high latitudes. The idea of the ocean conveyor belt is that this cycle continues repeatedly over time, and it happens in many places around the world. The most famous example of this ocean conveyor belt is the Gulf Stream in the Atlantic Ocean, which carries warm water from the tropical Atlantic northwards along the east coast of North America and Greenland, and that as the water flows northward, it emits or radiates energy into the atmosphere, warming the atmosphere over Western Europe and contributing to a warmer climate over Western Europe. On an ESS exam, I've not seen a question that asks you to name specific parts of the ocean conveyor belt system. However, the Gulf Stream, that's an example that all of your examiners are going to know. I don't know how to embed a YouTube video inside a YouTube video, but here on the screen I've got a quick little screenshot from a video by Sean Grenveld from South Africa. I'll put a link in the comments below. This video has a great explanation of how ocean currents affect terrestrial climates and why we tend to find deserts on the west coast of continents and the east coast of continents tend to have higher primary productivity as a result of the interaction between ocean systems and the atmosphere. That's it for IB ESS Topic 4.1, Intro to Water Systems. I hope you found this video review helpful as you prepare for your exams. If you did, give it a thumbs up and please consider subscribing to my channel. Both of those things will help me reach more ESS students around the world. Good luck on your exams and happy learning.